In a single, electrifying moment, Michael faced his harshest critic and transformed scorn into a declaration of hope. The room fell silent as every eye watched him channel doubt into powerful conviction. Imagine standing where he did, every breath a battle, every heartbeat defiant. What would you do in his shoes? And where are you watching from? Welcome to Motivation for Success, where every story fuels the fire of resilience. Michael's unwavering resolve reminds us that our darkest moments can ignite the brightest victories. As you dive into his journey, ask yourself, how have you turned doubt into determination? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story moves you, hit that like button and subscribe to Motivation for Success for more powerful stories of transformation. Stay tuned, the best is yet to come. The tension in the room thickened as Ethan Cross leaned forward, shuffling his note cards with a smirk that barely concealed his intent. He had made a career out of rattling his guests, pushing them toward moments of weakness, and tonight, he saw Michael Jordan as his next conquest. The audience felt it, the underlying edge in his voice, the calculated pause before his strike. "So, Michael," he began, his words laced with mockery, "you've won 6 NBA championships, built a billion-dollar empire, and yet let's be honest, you still seem obsessed with proving yourself. You don't play anymore, so what exactly are you trying to win now?" A ripple of discomfort spread through the crowd. Some chuckled uneasily, unsure if they were witnessing a moment of entertainment or something that crossed the line into disrespect. Others sat in silence, their admiration for Jordan battling with the growing unease at how the conversation was unfolding. They had come to hear wisdom from a legend, not to watch him be reduced to a target for cheap provocation. But Michael didn't flinch. He sat back, completely still, fingers tapping the armrest in a slow, deliberate rhythm. His expression was unreadable, but his eyes, those same eyes that had sized up opponents on the court, that had stared down pressure in its purest form, remained sharp, focused. He didn't blink. He simply observed. Then, with the same quiet intensity that had once sent defenders into panic, he leaned forward, a slight smile playing at the corners of his lips. "Ethan," he said, his voice even, measured, but carrying the weight of something deeper, something undeniable, "let me ask you something." Ethan's smirk faltered for just a second. "What do you mean?" Michael's nod was almost imperceptible, a sign that he had already taken control of the conversation. "What wakes you up in the morning?" he asked. Ethan hesitated, clearly caught off guard. "What are you getting at?" he said, attempting to brush it off. Michael didn't let him escape. His voice remained steady, unwavering. "What drives you? Is it money? Is it fame? The thrill of getting the next big scoop? Maybe it's making your guests uncomfortable, pushing them until they break." The audience chuckled at the thinly veiled rebuke, but there was something deeper beneath their laughter. They weren't just entertained. They were watching a shift, a masterful redirection of energy, a conversation that was no longer in the hands of the host but of the man sitting across from him. Ethan shifted in his seat, but Michael wasn't done. "You see, winning isn't about a scoreboard," he continued, his voice carrying the kind of authority that couldn't be rehearsed, couldn't be faked. "It's not about how many rings you have or how many people know your name. Winning is a mindset. It's about pushing yourself when no one's watching. It's about being better today than you were yesterday. It's about discipline when no one is keeping score." A murmur rippled through the audience. They weren't just watching a conversation anymore. They were witnessing something raw, something real. Michael's gaze never wavered. "So to answer your question, what am I still trying to win?" He let the question hang in the air, allowing the weight of it to settle. "Life, Ethan. Every single day." For the first time all night, Ethan Cross had no response. The studio fell into a silence so deep you could hear the faint hum of the lights overhead, a stillness that seemed to stretch forever. It wasn't an awkward silence, nor was it the forced pause of a rehearsed television moment. It was the kind of silence that comes when truth is spoken, when something undeniable cuts through all the noise. Ethan swallowed, shifting his note cards in his hands. He had come in expecting to control the conversation, to guide it toward an easy soundbite, a headline, a moment of controversy. Instead, he was sitting across from a man who had just redefined the entire premise of the interview. Michael didn't need to prove anything. He never had. His legacy wasn't confined to trophies, to championships, to the business empire he had built. It was in moments like these, moments where his words carried the same weight as his actions, where his presence alone commanded respect not because he demanded it, but because he had earned it. The audience, recognizing the significance of what had just unfolded, began to applaud. It started as a few claps, hesitant at first, but quickly grew into something bigger. It wasn't just admiration, it was appreciation. They had come expecting to hear from a legend, and instead, they had witnessed something even more powerful, a lesson. Ethan, still holding on to the remnants of his composure, forced a laugh. "Well, Michael, I have to say you certainly know how to turn a question around." Michael simply smiled. He didn't need to respond. The message had already been sent. Ethan glanced at the cameras, at the producers behind the scenes, searching for a way to regain control. But there was no recovering from what had just happened. This wasn't just another interview. It was a moment that would be remembered, played back, quoted for years to come. Because Michael Jordan had done what he had always done, he had turned a challenge into an opportunity. Not to prove himself. Not to win an argument. But to remind the world of what true greatness looks like. And for the first time in his career, Ethan Cross realized he wasn't the one conducting the interview anymore. He was the one being taught. The air in the studio felt charged, an unspoken battle unfolding between two men, one who had built a career on tearing people down and another who had spent a lifetime proving that resilience was the key to greatness. Ethan Cross, now visibly unsettled, shuffled through his note cards, his expression betraying his frustration. He had expected resistance, maybe even defensiveness. Instead, Michael Jordan had met his challenges with wisdom, grace, and an unshakable presence that had turned the entire conversation against him. But Ethan wasn't ready to back down. With a forced smile, he pivoted. "All right, let's talk about failure," he said, his voice laced with feigned casualness. "People love to talk about your success, but let's be real, you failed a lot before you ever won. You were cut from your high school basketball team. You retired from the NBA twice. You tried baseball, and, well, let's just say that didn't exactly work out, did it?" The tension in the room thickened. The audience, already on edge, knew exactly what Ethan was doing. He wasn't asking a question, he was attempting to poke at the scars, to diminish a legacy that had inspired millions. But Michael didn't flinch. Instead, he did something that caught everyone off guard. He laughed. A deep, genuine, unshaken chuckle that echoed through the studio, causing even the most skeptical viewers to sit up and take notice. Ethan blinked, momentarily thrown off. This wasn't the reaction he had expected. Michael leaned back in his chair, his smile warm but laced with something deeper, something powerful. "You know what, Ethan? You're absolutely right." Ethan's eyebrows lifted. "I am?" he asked, clearly unsure of where this was going. Michael nodded. "Yeah. I failed a lot. More times than I can count." He turned toward the audience, his presence commanding the entire room. "And so has everyone in this room. The difference is some people are too afraid to admit it. The audience erupted into applause, their admiration swelling. They weren't just clapping for a sports icon. They were clapping for a truth that resonated far beyond basketball. Michael let the moment settle before continuing, his voice steady, unwavering. I've missed over 9,000 shots. Lost almost 300 games. 26 times, I had the ball for the win and I missed. He let those numbers hang in the air, each one a testament not to failure, but to perseverance. You know what all of that means? It means I wasn't afraid to try. It means I didn't let failure define me. Then, in a move that shifted the dynamic entirely, he leaned forward, his gaze locking onto Ethan's with quiet intensity. So tell me, Ethan, when was the last time you took a shot and weren't afraid to miss? The room fell silent. Ethan's smirk vanished. His mouth opened slightly as if searching for a response, but nothing came. He had spent years pressing people into corners, making them squirm under the weight of his questions. But now, he was the one caught. Because Michael hadn't just answered his question, he had turned it into a mirror, forcing Ethan to face himself. The energy in the room had shifted entirely. This wasn't just an interview anymore. It was a masterclass in resilience, in character, in what it truly meant to chase greatness. Ethan, visibly uncomfortable, grasped at one final attempt to regain control. Come on, Michael, he scoffed. You're 60. The game has moved on. Don't you think it's time to just sit back and let the next generation take over? Michael exhaled, a soft, knowing smile playing on his lips, not with arrogance, but with wisdom. Ethan, he said, his tone calm but firm, do you know what the greatest coaches do? Ethan hesitated, still thrown off. What? He asked cautiously. They teach, Michael answered simply. They pass on what they know. They lift others up so the game continues to grow. The simplicity of his words carried an undeniable weight. He wasn't just talking about basketball, he was talking about life, about legacy, about what it meant to take all you've learned and use it to help someone else rise. A pause settled over the room. Then, Michael's voice softened, taking on a tone that felt more personal, more profound. When I was a kid, I had people who believed in me, coaches, mentors, teammates. I don't keep pushing because I want to prove something. I push because I know there's a kid out there right now, watching this, who needs to hear that greatness isn't given. It's earned. Every single day. The impact of his words was visible. A woman in the front row wiped her eyes. A young man in a Bulls jersey sat forward, his expression filled with the kind of admiration that only came from hearing something that touched the core of who he was. Michael wasn't just speaking to the people in the room, he was speaking to every person who had ever doubted themselves, who had ever been told they weren't enough, who had ever feared that failure meant the end instead of the beginning. Then, Michael turned back to Ethan, his expression calm but unwavering. So no, I won't sit back, he said firmly. Not while there's still someone out there who needs to believe that they can be more than what the world tells them they can be. The words ignited something in the room. The audience, moved beyond words, leapt to their feet in thunderous applause. It wasn't just appreciation, it was a collective realization that they had just witnessed something powerful, something that would stay with them long after the cameras stopped rolling. Ethan Cross sat there, his posture stiff, his note cards useless in his hands. For the first time in his career, he had no comeback, no witty retort, no clever jab to regain control. Because Michael Jordan hadn't just won the conversation, he had transformed it. The ovation continued, an overwhelming wave of respect for a man who had spent his life proving that success wasn't about avoiding failure, but about pushing through it. Michael simply sat back, allowing the moment to breathe, his expression not one of victory, but of quiet satisfaction. Ethan finally exhaled, shaking his head with a weak chuckle. "Well," he muttered, barely audible over the applause, "I guess that answers my question." Michael just smiled. Because some things didn't need to be said. They had already been proven. The energy in the room had shifted. This wasn't just an interview anymore, it was a lesson in resilience. Ethan, now visibly uncomfortable, tried one last jab. "Come on, Michael. You're 60. The game has moved on. Don't you think it's time to just sit back and let the next generation take over?" Michael exhaled. Then, he smiled, not with arrogance, but with wisdom. "Ethan, do you know what the greatest coaches do?" Ethan blinked. "What?" "They teach," Michael said simply. "They pass on what they know. They lift others up so the game continues to grow." A pause. Then, Michael's voice softened. "When I was a kid, I had people who believed in me, coaches, mentors, teammates. I don't keep pushing because I want to prove something. I push because I know there's a kid out there right now, watching this, who needs to hear that greatness isn't given. It's earned. Every single day." A woman in the front row wiped her eyes. A young man in a Bulls jersey nodded, absorbing every word. Michael looked back at Ethan, his expression calm. "So no, I won't sit back. Not while there's still someone out there who needs to believe that they can be more than what the world tells them they can be." The crowd erupted. A standing ovation. Ethan sat there, speechless. For the first time, he had nothing left to say. In that charged moment, the room transformed into a sacred arena of legacy and purpose, a space where time itself seemed to pause, allowing one man's indomitable spirit to speak volumes about the nature of perseverance and the true meaning of mentorship. What had begun as a straightforward interview evolved into a profound lesson in resilience, a testament to the timeless power of commitment and the responsibility of those who have journeyed far in life to illuminate the path for others. Ethan's challenge had been sharp and cutting, a misguided attempt to belittle Michael's years and question his relevance in an ever-changing landscape. "Come on, Michael. You're 60. The game has moved on. Don't you think it's time to just sit back and let the next generation take over?" He had sneered, his words designed to wound rather than provoke genuine reflection. But rather than retreat or become defensive, Michael drew from an inner reservoir of calm and wisdom. His response was not one of simple defiance but rather an invitation to look beyond the superficial and consider what truly endures. Michael's reply, as measured as it was powerful, struck at the heart of what it means to lead. With a subtle smile that carried the weight of many battles fought and lessons learned, he asked, "Ethan, do you know what the greatest coaches do?" This question was not meant to belittle but to provoke introspection, a gentle yet firm reminder that leadership is not solely about personal achievement but about the art of teaching, of nurturing potential in others. For Michael, the role of a coach extended far beyond the confines of winning games. It was a calling to instill values, to impart knowledge, and to ignite the spark of ambition in every eager soul who dared to dream. He continued, his voice softening as memories of his own journey surfaced. "When I was a kid, I had people who believed in me, coaches, mentors, teammates. I don't keep pushing because I want to prove something. I push because I know there's a kid out there right now, watching this, who needs to hear that greatness isn't given. It's earned. Every single day." In these words, Michael revealed the secret that lay at the core of his enduring strength, a belief that every act of determination, every effort to rise above the mundane, was a tribute to those who had nurtured his early hopes. His mission was not personal validation but a responsibility to ensure that the flame of aspiration never dwindled in anyone who dared to face the struggles of life. As his words resonated through the room, they did more than just fill the silence, they stirred the hearts of everyone present. A woman in the front row, moved beyond measure, wiped away a tear that spoke of her own battles and the hope that Michael's unwavering dedication inspired. Nearby, a young man clad in a Bulls jersey listened intently, absorbing every syllable as if it were a precious directive meant solely for him. In that single breath of collective attention, Michael's message transcended the boundaries of age and circumstance, knitting together a tapestry of shared human experience centered on courage and the relentless pursuit of excellence. When Michael looked directly at Ethan once again, his expression was one of calm resolve, a silent challenge that conveyed more than words ever could, that the pursuit of legacy is a lifelong endeavor, one that demands passion, persistence, and a willingness to overcome the inevitable doubts of both self and society. "So no, I won't sit back," Michael declared with a steady voice, "not while there's still someone out there who needs to believe that they can be more than what the world tells them they can be." This statement was more than a retort to a personal slight. It was an affirmation of his enduring purpose, a promise to continue his work as long as even one person needed to hear the possibility of greatness whispered into their ear. The reaction that followed was nothing short of electric. The audience, moved by the raw sincerity of Michael's commitment, rose in a spontaneous ovation that was not just applause but an outpouring of collective recognition. In that standing ovation lay the acknowledgement of countless unsung heroes, those who, in the quiet moments of their own lives, had given their all to uplift others. It was a powerful reminder that true greatness is not measured by the accolades of one moment, but by the legacy one leaves behind, etched into the hearts of those who dare to follow in their footsteps. Ethan, once so confident in his dismissive tone, now found himself rendered speechless, a bystander to the transformative power of humility in purpose. For the first time, his cynical facade had been pierced by the undeniable truth of Michael's words, leaving him without a retort. In that silent exchange, the room bore witness to a profound shift, a metamorphosis from a debate over age and relevance to a celebration of the enduring spirit that drives us all to be better, to push further, and to believe in the possibility of a future shaped by the lessons of the past. Michael's next act, as he stood and adjusted his jacket, was to address the audience directly, a final, heartfelt tribute to those who had gathered to share in this moment of rebirth. "You ask me what I'm still trying to win," he said, his voice echoing through the space with an almost tangible force. "The respect of the next generation. And I won't stop until I've earned it." These words encapsulated not only his personal mission but also the universal struggle to earn respect, not by demanding it, but by offering unwavering commitment, relentless effort, and the grace to inspire others to rise above their own limitations. In that instant, as the cheers of the audience crescendoed into an overwhelming chorus of admiration and hope, a new chapter was being written, a chapter that celebrated the intersection of experience and ambition, of tradition and innovation. Michael's walk off the stage was not a retreat but a continuation of a journey that had no final destination. It was a testament to the eternal cycle of teaching and learning, of giving and receiving, that fuels the human spirit. And as he departed, leaving Ethan and a stunned audience behind, it was clear that something far greater than an interview had just unfolded before their eyes. They had witnessed the embodiment of greatness itself, a quiet, resolute force that transcended time, age, and circumstance, reminding everyone present that the true measure of a man is not in his years, but in the legacy he cultivates and the lives he touches. The energy of that moment lingered like a beacon in the hearts of all who were present, a luminous reminder that while the game of life continues to evolve, the fundamental truths of dedication, empathy, and relentless pursuit of excellence remain eternal. Michael had shown that the art of coaching was not merely about instructing others on the mechanics of success, but about igniting a belief that every setback is a setup for a comeback, and that every challenge is an opportunity to build something enduring. His legacy, like the echoes of that unforgettable evening, would persist in every inspired soul who dared to dream and strive for more than the world had ever imagined possible. In a world often too quick to dismiss the wisdom of age, Michael's resolute stance served as a powerful reminder that true influence is not dictated by the fleeting trends of the moment but by a lifetime of commitment to growth, resilience, and the selfless act of mentoring others. His words were a call to arms for all who have ever felt diminished by the harsh judgments of a society that values novelty over nuance, a plea to recognize that the spirit of innovation is nurtured by those who are willing to share their hard-earned experiences with the next generation. It was a testament to the transformative power of hope, a hope that, no matter the challenges, there is always a future bright with promise if we dare to lift each other up and strive for greatness together. Thus, the moment passed into legend, not as a fleeting dispute over generational differences, but as a profound celebration of the enduring human spirit, a spirit that continues to rise, inspire, and transform the world, one lesson at a time. In the face of doubt and relentless criticism, Michael emerged as a shining example of hope and unwavering determination. Critics attempted to diminish his spirit by questioning his relevance, but instead of yielding, Michael transformed their disparagement into an inspiring call to action. With every word he spoke, he reminded us that true greatness is measured not by the accolades we accumulate but by the legacy we leave behind, a legacy built on the power of mentorship, resilience, and the courage to lift others even when the journey gets tough. Michael's story is a testament to the belief that every setback is merely a setup for a remarkable comeback. As he faced down the voices of naysayers, he embraced his age and experience as gifts, proof that every challenge encountered had sharpened his resolve to make a difference. His passion for guiding the next generation was palpable, a beacon of light urging all who listen to see beyond their immediate struggles and envision a future rich with possibility. In that defining moment, he demonstrated that leadership is not a position but an ongoing journey of imparting wisdom, fostering growth, and kindling hope in the hearts of others. Now, as you reflect on Michael's incredible journey, consider this: what personal challenge have you turned into an opportunity for growth? How will you use your experiences to empower those around you? If this story moved you, hit that like button and subscribe to Motivation for Success for more powerful stories like this one. And tell us in the comments, what lesson from Michael's words hit you the hardest, and how will it inspire your actions moving forward? Remember, each day is a new chance to rise, inspire, and leave an indelible mark on the world, a mark that speaks to the triumph of the human spirit.